Experiencing trouble connecting to your friend's Terraria world? You're likely facing a port forwarding issue. This video will guide you through fixing it. Port forwarding is a technique that allows your router to direct incoming internet traffic to the computer hosting the Terraria server. Without it, external players can't connect due to your router's built-in firewall, also known as NAT, Network Address Translation. Think of it as opening a specific door in your house, your router, so your friends, other players, can find the Terraria party, your server, inside. Let's get started. Terraria's multiplayer mode relies on direct IP connections for dedicated servers. When someone tries to connect to your game, their computer sends a signal to your internet connection. Your router, acting as a gatekeeper, needs to know where to send that signal within your local network. Port forwarding tells the router, hey, any traffic coming in on port 7777, Terraria's default port, should be sent to this specific computer in my house. Without this rule, the router blocks the connection, resulting in errors like connection timed out. First, you need to access your router's admin panel through a web browser. Open your preferred browser such as Chrome, Firefox, or Edge. Then, in the address bar, type your router's IP address. Common default addresses include 192.168.1.1, 192.168.0.1, or 10.1. These are the standard gateways for most home routers. If these don't work, check your router's manual or search online for your specific model's default IP address. If the default IP addresses don't work, you'll need to find the correct one for your specific router model. Look in the user manual that came with your router or visit the manufacturer's website. You can also search online by typing your router's model name followed by default IP address. For example, if you have a Netgear router, search for Netgear N600 default IP. This will give you the exact gateway address to use. After entering the IP address, you'll reach your router's login page. Here, you'll need to enter a username and password to access the settings. These credentials are typically printed on a label attached to the bottom or side of your router. If you haven't changed them, they often default to admin for both username and password. However, different router brands may use different defaults, so always check the sticker first to avoid any issues. Before proceeding further, it's important to note a security tip. Once you're logged into your router, you should change the default password to something strong and secure. This prevents others from accessing your network settings. Use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Many routers have built-in password strength indicators to help you create a secure one. With these steps completed, you'll be logged into your router's admin panel and ready to set up port forwarding for your Terraria server. Once logged into your router's settings, navigate to the port forwarding section. The exact location varies depending on your router's manufacturer. Look for terms like port forwarding, NAT forwarding, virtual servers, or gaming. These are common labels for the section you need. If you're unsure where to find it, consult your router's manual or search online for your specific router model, followed by port forwarding to get detailed instructions. Router interfaces have improved over time, with more user-friendly UPnP settings available on newer models from brands like Netgear and ASUS. For example, on a Netgear router, you might find port forwarding options under the Firewall Rules section in the Advanced tab. Some routers offer quick select options with drop-down menus for famous games or custom configuration fields for manual setup. On other routers, look for a virtual server entry section where you can add or modify port forwarding rules. Newer routers often include UPnP universal plug-and-play settings that can automatically handle port forwarding for compatible devices. Now let's configure the port forwarding rule. You'll need the following information: your computer's local IP address, see next section, and the port number, 77777 for Terraria. Create a new rule. Set the service type to UDP. Enter 777 as both the external or public port and the internal or private port. Enter your computer's local IP address in the internal IP address or to IP address field. Enable the rule. Save your changes and reboot your router. To find your computer's local IP address on Windows, start by opening the command prompt. You can search for cmand in the Start menu. Once open, type ipconfig and press enter. Look for the IPv4 address entry under your active network adapter. This is your local IP, such as 192.168.1.10. On macOS, open System Preferences and click on Network. Select your active connection, whether Wi-Fi or Ethernet, and your IP address will be displayed in the network details. To keep your IP address consistent, set up a static IP address for your computer in your router's settings. This is usually found in the DHCP server configurations section of your router's admin panel. After configuring port forwarding in your router, it's crucial to test whether the setup is working correctly. The first step is to use online port checker tools. Search for Port Checker in your web browser and visit a reputable website. Enter port 7777, which is Terraria's default UDP port for multiplayer connections, and input your public IP address. Next, you need to find your public IP address to test the port. Search for What is my IP in your browser or use an online IP lookup tool. This will show you the external IP address that the internet sees for your network. Remember, this is different from your local IP address that we used in the router settings. Once you've run the port checker with port 7777 and your public IP, check the results. If the port shows as open, congratulations. Your port forwarding setup is working correctly and friends should be able to connect to your Terraria server. If the port checker shows the port is closed, there may be firewall issues blocking the connection. Check your Windows firewall or any third-party firewall software you have installed. Make sure Terraria is explicitly allowed through the firewall for both TCP and UDP protocols on port 77777. You can usually find these settings in your firewall's advanced options. Remember to test your port forwarding setup thoroughly before trying to host a Terraria multiplayer session. A successful port check means your friends should be able to connect without issues, allowing for smooth multiplayer gameplay. If port forwarding seems too complicated, consider alternatives. Universal Plug and Play can automatically configure ports, though it's less secure. VPN tools like Hamachi or ZeroTier create virtual LANs, allowing you to bypass router restrictions. Cloud-hosted servers are becoming increasingly popular and offer a hassle-free experience for a small monthly fee. Looking ahead, Relogic has hinted at potential NAT punch-through improvements in future updates to reduce reliance on port forwarding. Cloud gaming platforms are also reducing the need for individual port forwarding. While port forwarding is still relevant, the future points towards easier, more automated solutions.